I saw a man talking about how AI is stripping Hollywood's voice actors of jobs. Very impassioned video that I saw this guy that had put out on some social media platform and gone viral. What do I think of it? I think it's always sad when you see industries consumed by progress of any kind. But sadly, it's to be expected. It's just part of this system. I think it's awful. I've thought a lot of progress in the last, especially the last 20, 30 years, has been detrimental to humanity. But you have to look at the system as a whole. Throughout my entire life, I've seen so many industries that were stripped back to next to nothing and then eradicated completely. Coal mining, the steel industry, shipbuilding, so many things where car building, automation took over to a very large extent, and it was shipped out to other countries because it was cheaper. People who still do work manually, and the industrial landscape of the country that I live in, the United Kingdom, had just changed. But it's one of those things. It's one of those things that sadly is a part of progress. And those who try to cling to the past and say, we've got to stop this progress that is already in situ and unstoppable, as with AI and voice acting. You're at a point where you're trying to stop something that's already happened. You're standing in the midst of a tsunami with a 30-foot wave 20 feet away from you. We've got to stop this tsunami. We've got to stop the man-made cataclysm that caused this wall of water that's coming towards us. It's too late. It's already happened. The thing is, there was that poem. First they came for the Jews. I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for the communists. I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Da 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 da. Naming subsections of society, and the last line is, and then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. And that is symptomatic of so much in our world, that the people at the bottom are decimated. Their industries and their jobs and their security are destroyed. And nobody in the middle or at the top speaks out. They think, well, it's not happening to me. I'm not suggesting they don't have any kind of sympathy for it. But it's very hard to offer too much sympathy when your main focus in your life is going to be keeping you and your family and your loved ones safe, fed, and a roof over their head. I totally understand why people don't speak out for others, but it has a knock-on effect. This system will eradicate anyone or anything in its path. I'd say up to about a 99.9% certainty. The only people who are truly safe within this system are billionaires. The crash of 2008 and the rise of the Occupy movement showed how middle-class people who were probably upwards of collateral millionaires, that they weren't safe and were now signing on as unemployed. Absolutely nobody is safe. And all of it takes me back to a narration at the beginning of the movie that simulated a nuclear attack on the United Kingdom back in about 1982. The film was called Threads. I thoroughly recommend anybody watch that movie. I think it's on YouTube. But the narration at the beginning says, our society is strong. Our lives, our wives, our wives are woven together. Our lives are woven together in a fabric, but the connections that make our society strong ultimately make it vulnerable. And there's a line in one of the Star Wars where I think it's Obi-Wan Kenobi says, surely you have to see that what befalls this section of people on your planet will ultimately happen to you as well. and can be that can be extrapolated and slapped upon the capitalist system. It will chew up and spit out absolutely anybody who is unlucky enough to be in the shortfall of change, in the tsunami of change, because it's ruthless. And the part of me that has seen so many people lose everything, my own family included, in the 1980s, forced to sign on and get pittance of unemployment benefit and searching for jobs relentlessly and doing jobs that nearly broke my father on his own for thousands of hours, hundreds of thousands of hours, in a job that he was forced to do in the early mid 1990s just to keep a roof over his family's head. That was due to change. That was due to industries that he worked in changing and becoming smaller, automated. His job was now done by machines and computers, even back then. And the sad truth is, you have to adapt and move on. And that is exactly the devil's advocate side of me that comes out when I see extremely well paid people who do voice work in Hollywood saying our jobs being automated. Yeah, join the rest of us, bucko. It's relentless, it's merciless. None of you have ever spoken out or physically done anything to change policy within the system we're working in to protect the little people. And it's the rot starts in the roots, and the roots of our society are being burnt out. Poor people are just nothing. Cannon fodder for the factory and the gun, historically speaking, and the rot is working its way upwards, or the fire is working its way upwards towards the top of the structure now. A lot of pundits have warned that there was going to be a stripping out and an eradication of the middle classes. And it would seem that was pretty much spot on as a prediction. But we live in a strange age where people get so used to their comfortable, sedentary lives. I've seen it on this website itself over the last 20 years, where people will have a cushy income. The policymakers at YouTube decide to change the way that money is harvested and produced by making content, and some things are deemed inappropriate for advertising, and people lose their income, their perma vacation income. That fantastic, I think it's great. But instead of moving on to a new job that's obviously going to pay a lot less, people started e-begging. Now the e-begging culture has moved on to a website called Patreon, where people they use YouTube as an advertising canvas, where they say, here's a heavily edited version of my reaction to this video, let's say this movie, and they say if you go to Patreon you can see it without me having edited out all of the good bits and all of the interesting bits. That there is an answer to the e-begging problem that came with what was called the adpocalypse at YouTube, where people were no longer being able to be monetized, and historically their videos were being stripped of their ability to make money. And it's the metaphorical equivalent with people at that point who actively said, can you donate to me on I can't even think what the website's called. Isn't it annoying when things escape you like that? But yeah, donate to me, here's the link. And It's the metaphorical equivalent of being fired from your job, taking your little collection of possessions out of your cubicle, and the next day turning up and sitting in the foyer of where you used to work or at the door and saying to people, I'm still going to do the same job. I'm not employed by this company anymore, but could you just give me money as you walk past and furnish me with my living? It's a bizarre attitude. It's what comes when people live such sedate and sedentary lives. It's as simple as that. I'm not offering a necessarily embedded opinion of mine. It's just pure observation of the way people are living. So I wish society was kinder to people. I wish there were more options to make a sound and thoroughly fulfilling living and a happy life through artistic expression of all kinds. But it's next to impossible now. And the middle and upper echelons of our society that we see on the street, not the elite, are realizing that the rot is just working its way upwards. And they're not happy about it. And they're speaking out about it, and they're speaking loudly. But you should have been there for everybody. As I've said, and I insist on this, the rot has worked up from the roots since roughly 2008, and it is catching up with everybody at every point now. And fighting the change of industrial progress is always a complete and utter facade and a mistake, because you can't. There's a line in Only Fools and Horses talking about Grandad, and they're talking about how lazy Grandad is, Del and Rodney. And Del says he's an unemployed lamppost lighter who's waiting for gas to return. You know, and that is so true of what people want when they have a life that furnishes them with so much easy living and so much ability to live in the kind of, say, the artistic realm. And then the capitalist system comes for them, progress comes for them, and they try to say, I know we've moved on to nuclear, but I'm going to wait here until gas makes a comeback. And it's never going to. It's just tragic seeing people not realizing that what happens to you at the bottom will work its way upwards. It's like with the way that unemployed people in the UK have been treated over the last 10 years, where now people who receive benefits can have their bank accounts observed and they're constantly monitored for fraud. Complete guilty until you're proven innocent attitude that the lowest income people in this country actually receive now. And the moment it looked like the national ID card, which, as much as people think it's been defeated, it's still coming, and the social credit system and the constant ability to observe what we're doing and where we are, everybody was horrified universally, left, right and centre, politically. I'm not talking about politicians. I'm talking about people's political ethos. Everybody was united, and the whole country just said, no, we're not having this infringement on our civil liberties. But it's already there for the people at the bottom, the people who are unfortunate enough to be legitimately receiving benefits for sickness or unemployment. They're already being observed and watched relentlessly. Their bank accounts, their movements. You've let the rot set in by all proudly clapping and going, yeah, give the work-shy bastards, let's make them feel the heat. Let's make them get off their asses and get a fucking job. Well done. Well done. What happens at one element of society with politics will bleed upwards, and it will become a horror for everybody. It's amazing how people so willingly contribute to the bars of this social credit, constant surveillance system that we're being led towards. Everybody congratulates it when the people at the bottom are treated worse progressively worse as time goes by, but the moment it gets to them, they see it as nothing but an infringement on their liberty. The connections that make our society strong also make it very vulnerable.